What's up, guys? We're back with the S3 podcast. Tonight, we're going to talk about the GR Corolla from Toyota coming 2021.
All right. Hey, guys. Welcome back to the S3 Magazine podcast. We're on episode, I kind of have no idea right now, but we're just trucking along with this thing. We changed it up a little bit this time. Jesse and Hunter are off kind of doing their own thing. Tonight, we have our fearless leader, Jonathan Woolley. Say what's up.
Hey, what's up?
And also our good buddy, Tim.
Hey,
Tim, good to have you back on. Yeah,
Hey,
today we're going to be talking about the Toyota's big release. They're not release, but I guess what's got everybody talking right now.
Big tease.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So basically, if you're into cars and you're into Facebook, you probably saw yesterday that Toyota has announced and or leaked, or however they did it, that the U.S. will be getting the GR Corolla. It's going to come with the 1.6 liter 3-cylinder that is overseas for the GR Yaris. The difference is here in the U.S., it will be in the Corolla hatch, and it will be front-wheel drive versus the Yaris all-wheel drive.
That's the idea, at least. Pretty much all of this is speculation so far, based on what we think Toyota's going to do. I don't think any of this is truly fact yet.
Yeah, don't hold us to it, because it is kind of like there's a lot of unknowns right now. But anyway, we're going to talk about what we think we know, which is par for the course for S3. We're going to throw some stuff out there. Some of it might be right. Some of it might be wrong. Just remember the right stuff. All right, Tim.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
So I did when you mentioned this, I was super stoked when they announced the Yaris. So I was hoping that because the drivetrain looked real similar to the Yaris, and I love the current Corolla hatch, and I think we might have even touched on this, is like, why isn't Toyota giving us like the right engine transmission combination in a cool car? And I think this could be it if they choose to do the Corolla, which it sounds like they probably are going to. I read a couple different, who knows, because it's all speculation, but I read a couple outlets that said it may be all-wheel drive. And I think that for me, if that body style, the Corolla, only even more intense, gets all-wheel drive and turbo and something around 260 horsepower, that is going to be the package. Especially if it follows like the pricing, the pricing structure that they've kind of set out with like the Camry special editions and the other stuff. It'll be cheap.
The Camry, I just had the TRD Camry as a press car, and that falls in at $30,000, and I feel like that's a lot of car for $30,000. The GR Yaris overseas is 36-ish.
Yeah.
They're projecting, again, it's all projections, about $30,000 starting point for a front-wheel drive turbo version of the Corolla. But, maybe if we all start getting loud in the tuner nation, maybe, we can talk them into an all-wheel drive. Or maybe that comes a year later or something like that. I don't know about that. What do you, Tim and or Mike, both of you guys, what do you think about, obviously, we all love the idea that Toyota is going to like liven up the Corolla. I think everybody loves the hatch. Like that kind of sent waves, other than it's like we talked about, there's just nothing behind it from an engine standpoint. Now that they're bringing a turbo, that is obviously great news. What about the price point? I'm interested to hear from both of you guys, because Tim, does $30,000 run you off of a Corolla?
Not at all, because I think if you look at the launch pricing, I think where I start to get uninterested in a hot hatch is in, Golf R is now 40, 42, 43, which just seems like, used other car. Something. I start thinking used at that point, because it's so much money that it doesn't make any sense to me. At $30,000, especially because Toyota is really good about incentives and lease programs, and really good about like 0% interest. So 32,000. If it's all-wheel drive and it's under 35,000, I think that's the new, Focus RS. essentially. You know, and I like that 3-cylinder engine. Like if you read about, it's pretty much been developed in their rally program. I mean, it's really closely aligned with their WRC program. So Toyota's in the right place right now. I don't know why they didn't. In fact, if they did this in the CHR, I'd dig it. If it ended up being the CHR, because I felt like if they would have thrown any bones at the CHR, I already like that vehicle.
Side note, I drove the CHR for a week and I liked it. I don't know why, it just got me. It's a fun little car for what it is. It's really nimble. I just don't like the engine. And I could live with the engine if there was a manual, but I do not. The manual the engine with the CVT is just a no-go. But the car's got something. It really does.
I agree.
Anyway, Mike, what do you think about $30,000 price tag? You know our readers. You know the tuner.
Yeah. I mean, as far as hot hatches go, that doesn't scare me off because, again, we don't know what we're getting in this car. But if it is an all-wheel drive turbo, then it's your Focus RS replacement. If, boohoo, we don't get the all-wheel drive version and it's still a front-wheel drive turbocharged tire shredder, it's a Type R competitor. Both of those cars are in the $30,000 to $35,000 range. And I think that anybody who's driven them can both say that they're well worth it. Toyota's been making good cars recently. As much as we, bash on the Supra because it's an automatic transmission and everything, that's still a hell of a car. It's a freaking rocket ship. If this thing is anything at all like that, with the blood and the soul of a hot hatch, and it's light and squirty, that thing could be a hell of a lot of fun for really not much money.
Yeah, I mean, I've been thinking about it. I think the price tag is really going to hinge on what are we talking about? Are they making a Type R competitor or a Focus ST competitor? Or like a Civic Si competitor? I think if it comes out and they really try and make kind of a turnkey weekend track car like the Type R is, $30,000 is a bargain. If it comes with limited slips, if it comes with that kind of a thing, $30,000 is a bargain. I think if we are lucky enough to get the all-wheel drive, it's going to touch 36,000. Somewhere in there.
And it will be totally worth it.
Yeah, I think we're in a place, Toyota's redoing the 8.6. Am I correct? I'm pretty sure they are. So within a year or two, Toyota could have kind of a literally attractive lineup. Their design is really good right now. They're on something.
Who else has 3 tuner cars out right now?
That's what I mean. So if it comes in at $30,000, we're talking about then being able to buy a turbo hatch, the Corolla, or the 8.6 for a $30,000 entry price point, or you step up to the Supra, and then when you take into consideration all the TRD pros and all that, that's a pretty strong lineup.
They're taking the GR thing pretty seriously, and they're kind of trying to position it, at least from what I've seen, kind of as the M or the RS, for Audi. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a great deal. In Japan, you can get a Toyota Harrier GR. I don't know if you've seen that. It looks like and it may be based on either an NX or an RX, like a Lexus NX or RX.
Right.
You can get a hot version of that. So I think I don't not like most of the cars that they're making. When they came out with the new Camry, that body style is fantastic. I love that you can get the painted roof option, and the big wheels and the quad exhaust, and they're almost there. You know what I mean? I feel on all of the cars, it's ooh man, that's like with the Supra, it's man, if they had a stick, that would be perfect. On all of these, it's kind of and then they announced that Yaris, and I feel like it is all the way there. It is all-wheel drive.
It's there.
It is a little WRC car that you can buy.
The thing is,
they would just give us that, and hopefully they give us something really close to it.
That's the thing, though. Let's be honest. America needs the bigger car. You know what I mean? If they brought the Yaris here, I feel like it would miss in a lot of ways, kind of like the Fiesta ST did. You know what I mean? Yeah. Even tuners in America are yeah, but I can't do a Fiesta, man. It's just too small. You know what I mean? They kind of back away from that and they go towards that mid-range Civic Focus Corolla, that size, it seems to be a little bit more acceptable. So while I agree, and I'm the all-wheel drive Yaris GR guy for sure. Like that's the one I would buy. I do think that the versatility of the Corolla in the American market is probably the way to go. I did look it up. I mean, the Corolla is 200 pounds heavier than the GR with all-wheel drive Yaris. So, figuring if they put that motor from the GR Yaris in the Corolla, you're looking at about 200 horsepower more, or I'm sorry, 200 pounds more, and losing the all-wheel drive. But they're also coming off that price tag, maybe, and they're coming off that price tag by about $5 or $6 grand if that's the way they do it. If they do it front-wheel drive turbo Corolla, so that's what you're looking at. But
I'm holding.
I just think, as much as I want that Yaris, and as much as maybe that can come as a cherry on top to the Corolla if the Corolla works, like I think that the Yaris would miss in the American market, sadly. I think that the Corolla might be something that can catch and sustain itself. I don't know.
I think the Yaris is kind of one of those cars that the American people in general just don't. I don't know if they don't like it, they don't respect it. They see it as like a Mini Cooper. It's almost like a kid's car. They don't take it seriously.
It's a comic relief thing. It's like a Fiesta, a Yaris. Like you can't even say it without like turning up your nose.
Yeah,
and
it's almost
by the way, anybody listening, like I have a Fiesta ST. I defend that car to the death.
Great car.
I wish that Toyota could bring I don't care if it's front-wheel drive. The front-wheel drive turbo something in the mid $20,000 or even less price range, because I think it would kill. I think there's so much Toyota loyalty that if it was a Toyota Fiesta ST, it would have killed, right? I think a lot of what hurt the Fiesta ST was that it was Ford. People weren't ready to buy Ford hot hatches yet. I think now they are, and Ford bailed out too soon. But I don't know, man.
I will say there's a market. They do have a market problem. Like in the UK, Ford was hot hatch city forever. They had Focus RS for a long time. They had hot Fiesta STs for multiple generations, and so for whatever reason, the United States and small cars. I don't know if maybe there is some sort of like real genetic defect where we just don't get awesome cars, because like the Fiat Abarth is awesome.
Yeah.
People look at it. It's got a niche. I mean, I know there's some people that truly respect that car, but I think for most people it's like, oh, that's a little kid's car.
Yeah.
And I don't know how. It doesn't seem like maybe there's no way to change that, or maybe it is truly a marketing thing. And maybe you're right. Maybe Ford did pull out too early, and it does take 2 or 3 generations. But if it does take 2 or 3 generations, I feel like Toyota seeded this whole subset of fans with the Scion brand. They sort of fed this Scion brand, and they fed like aftermarket stuff from the fact, they had, when you went to a Scion dealership, you can add an intake, you could add wheels, you could add an exhaust, and they did partnerships and stuff like that. And if they carry that same model and that same enthusiasm, which again they kind of seem to be doing to some extent with like the TRD, Camry, and some of the other stuff.
You bring up a good point with Scion. I know Scion's dead and everything, but Toyota really did a cool thing. They made it a fun experience to buy a car, and they're kind of doing it again, not so gimmicky as what they did with Scion, but like the TRD Pros and all the really, really cool cars that they're making out there, like they make it to where it's like the candy land to go buy a car instead of, oh, I just got to go pick up my new Tahoe kind of thing. It is a fun car buying experience with Toyota.
Well, I do feel like Toyota is giving somebody a little bit of leash here, because like the two-tone two-tone on a Camry, it seems like that would get shot down. Like, no, these people, you're not understanding who buys a Camry. But
These
they're
are
doing
accountants.
voodoo blues and the molten oranges, and like these are bold colors, the cements, and every time they make one, it becomes everybody's favorite color. So like the market is saying, yes, more of this stuff, less 50 shades of gray like we've been dealing with every car for the past 15 years now. Like,
yeah,
so,
the milky non-metallics have sold crazy on the TRD Tacomas. And they look amazing, like the olive drab and the gray. I don't know what the color names are, but when you see one, it's like, oh man, that looks amazing. So so whoever's making those calls, because you can get a different color roof on both the CHR and the Camry, right?
Yep. And probably, I'm betting this GR Corolla. You know, I don't know. I mean, for me, I'm totally stoked that they're doing it. I think, geesh, right? It's more what we need. People, I'm glad that manufacturers are kind of making what they think is cool rather than just what the control groups say that they should make. That's cool. I think it's definitely a step in the right direction. I hope that $30,000 price tag does not cause people to, go. That's the thing. Like, I think that if it was 25, you go in to look at a GR Corolla and you drive home in it. You know what I mean? Like, it gets you. It's the right price, the right financing. It's the right deal, and you leave with it. I think 30 grand, you start thinking, I mean, there's a lot of cars at that point that maybe would be a more practical decision that I should buy. So then you're eliminating a lot of people, and you're just going for the core enthusiasts. I want to see a car like the GR Corolla reach out and grab new enthusiasts. I'm a little worried at the $30,000 price point. I'm also aware that that's what cars cost these days. I don't know.
Manufacturing is expensive.
What did you say? You're breaking up.
The cost of manufacturing is expensive, and it's just going up every year, especially when you've got stuff like the coronavirus happening. But yeah, I mean, that's just kind of what cars cost now. The good thing is they've made financing more affordable than ever now. I mean, you can go get 0% financing. They'll give you 7-year loans on new cars. I mean, they really, really work with you to get you the car that you want.
Yeah, and that kind of bounces back to what we were talking about a couple podcasts ago, where it's like new cars that are 6-speed manuals might be the last of a dying breed. So maybe it is worth it to go and extend that loan out another year, get the payments to where you can do it, not worry too much about being upside down. If you think that the car is something that you're going to love for, a half a decade or more to come, then it's really irrelevant, whether you're upside down or not, if you're committed to the car.
I am stoked that this was a major announcement. I mean, this was like a major tease, and it is heartening to think that like this market segment, whether it's 26.9 or 31.5, whatever it is kind of a S3 segment. You know what I mean?
Right.
They are taking it pretty seriously. I mean, the images that they released were like, heavily composite, photoshopped, like someone got tossed on someone's desk, and it was like, hey, we want to do a tease on this GR. I think that's fantastic that it's the Corolla. And I said since that car's been out that the proportions, there's no other 4-door hatch that is so perfectly proportioned currently, especially with the wing. If you get that wing on the back, there's nothing else that has that sort of...
It's an exciting car to look at. It's fresh and it's slick, almost like the 90s styling is kind of back in 2020. It doesn't have all those weird, sharp loss of design. You know what I'm saying? The whole car flows is what I'm trying to say.
It's got that nice sharp crease on the leading edge of the back, and it's got the sharp waistline. It's like the right amount of now and then, Yeah,
that's what I mean. Like the car works. I mean, it can be argued that a lot of new cars have aggressive noses and then they all get fugly somewhere behind the windshield. And this car really flows throughout. There's something exciting about it. As a kid that got my keys, and turned 16 in the mid-90s and came up with the import boom, I feel a lot of that energy in that car. Now, for some reason, the motor wasn't there, and none of us understood really why. But if it's coming, man, it could be. I think this could be a pretty significant car. I really do. I think that the Toyota loyalists and fanboys will really support it. I think it could lead to, Nissan taking a look and some of these other guys, maybe even Ford looking again. I don't know. It's probably a decade out before they do that, but I don't know. It's a step in the right direction for sure. Whether it's, and please, if you guys are listening, like, a car does not have to be all-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive to be fun. Like, for some reason, the internet has just destroyed front-wheel drive. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like it's a hate crime. And the fact of the matter is, it's on a street car. I mean, a front-wheel drive hot hatch is a fun experience, especially when you throw high revs or a turbo at it. Like, it is something unique, and it is a blast. It allows you to have so much fun in traffic. I wouldn't, if it's not all-wheel drive, don't just eliminate it,
Yeah. That being said, I would really like to see Toyota go the full 10 yards this time. They've kind of become the company that gets you all the way there and then cuts out like something really important, like the 86. Good God. All you had to do was put a turbo on that thing, and it would have been a just phenomenal car. The Supra, manual transmission. Come on. Like, everything else about the car is perfect.
Please, Toyota, just send it on this one.
Just send it. Give us everything we need. Come on.
The funny thing is, while you're saying this, I'm like, this is where I don't know how their communications works in the company, but whoever's getting the memo to do like the two-tone and the red body lines and all that stuff, they've already got the drivetrain. The drivetrain that we want, that we're talking about here, is literally in the Yaris. They're saying, look, we get it. We want to give you something in the American market. The 200 pounds, honestly, if it's turbo and all-wheel drive, it makes 267 or whatever it is horsepower. The 200 pounds aren't going to kill it. A couple hundred pounds aren't going to like make it, because it's wider. So I mean, really, the Corolla should have a higher grip factor just because of it being a wider, chassis just in general. So if they're already there, stick that exact drivetrain in this car and go.
And I mean, I feel like we should close it out. But I do want to say, like, there is an energy behind this car. Like, all the Fiesta and Focus pages I'm on, they were posting it, and they're like, yo, looks like it's time to sell the Fiesta in 2 years. Like, they're getting excited about this car. There is something about this car that, and again, we are purely speculating, sort of, but I feel like it's going to be a fun car to modify, to own, to look at. You know what I mean? I feel like it's just one of those cars that once you start throwing some stuff at it, is going to be real infectious when it's running down the road. So that I'm stoked about.
Oh, yeah.
My only thing is, Toyota, please bring the all-wheel drive, and please bring it at like 32. I'm not obviously I'm a terrible businessman, print magazine.
Yeah.
but
garbage.
But if I was Toyota, I would be saying, guys, I don't care if we got to take a loss on this. We deserve to take a loss for abandoning everybody for so long. We need to make this fun. We need to lay it out on the table. We need to flex our muscles a little bit. We need to come in and undercut the Type R. We need to undercut the RS when they had it. We need to undercut the Golf R, and we need to compete with them. That's what Toyota's about. Like, that's what they got to do. And give it to me in yellow and freaking green and orange. Don't be giving me light gray or dark gray.
It is hilarious to me that Toyota has been such a tame, some would say boring brand for like literally a decade. And all of a sudden one day they woke up and they were like, hey guys, I found this racing helmet. You want to go do some cool stuff? What do you think? And now they're just like making race cars all the time. Yep. It's awesome. I love it. But I wish it didn't take them so dang long to do it.
Yep. Tim, you might remember that marketing campaign they did around the late 90s where they went to everyday people, like everyday, like from the song Everyday People. That was there. And that was when I was just like, What? Why would you want to market yourself as just everyday boring? You know what I mean? I was like,
And they did. I mean, because they sold
worked.
a ton of entry level. There are
Yeah.
about 1.5 million entry level Camrys in my state alone. I mean, they definitely sold a bunch of Camrys, and those things run forever. I mean,
they are the most profitable car company out there by a lot. Like by a
well, they
long
made that
shot.
hybrid drivetrain that they then leased to everyone. The Jetta uses their hybrid drivetrain. All the Nissans use their hybrid drivetrain. So anytime Nissan sells a car or Volkswagen sells a car, Toyota's getting paid. So
well, you know what? What else I was just thinking about? You think about that Toyota history of reliability. So these cars could very well be the EG Civic of 20 years from now. You know what I mean? Like these cars come out now, if they're successful, they're going to outlast us all and stay on the road for 25 years. It could turn into a icon, you know?
Yeah.
Like that, you know, like the EG Civic or like
I think
whatever.
the body style's there. I don't think they need to change anything with the current hatch. It's a second car.
And I do think another thing, Toyota two-tone guy, if you're listening, like leave a little bit for us. I mean, like I know you can, you know, put some skirts on it and pop the wing up a little bit more and do this and make it look sharp. But like I think part of the manufacturers trying to taking a car too far kind of hurts the fun in the aftermarket. Leave it a little, you know, give us something to do is what I'm saying. Like, let us do a couple things in the aftermarket. Don't do too much. Give us a great canvas.
You don't want your Corolla from the factory with a martini livery or...
No. Yeah, I wanna buy the short shift. I want to buy the wing risers. I want to buy all this silly stuff. You know, like I want them to give us a canvas that we can run with, which was kind of the concept of Scion anyway. So hopefully they still get that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to beat this to the ground too much, but I feel like we've kind of covered it. You know?
Yeah, I'm stoked about it.
Yeah.
I just hope they run with it.
I'm just thanking the car gods for at least a step in the right direction and not another crossover with a CVT. So thank you for that. Stick this motor in a dang little tiny crossover. That'll be dope. You know, as long as it's got the 6-speed.
Hey, and I'm Toyota. I'm fine with you putting it in the CHR. I think this drivetrain in the CHR, that even if it was a full second slower to 60, we'd figure out how to get it faster. You know,
I'm telling you, man.
Oh yeah.
We put a bigger turbo on it and get that second back real quick.
All right. Well, that's our initial thoughts on a whole bunch of maybe stuff. So I think we are getting the GR Corolla. Maybe it will be all-wheel drive. Maybe it will be front-wheel drive. You guys, you write your little Toyota mayors or whatever and beg that, you know, they bring it. So, all right.
Let us know what you think about it. Let us know what you would like to see in the car in an ideal situation. What would it take for you as a consumer to buy it?
Yeah, and try and be open-minded about it. You know, like don't just be that typical person that's like, oh, if it's not all-wheel drive, or oh, if it's you know 30,000 or more. I mean, look, I'm with you, but like we've got to try and be, you know, think like Toyota a little bit. What's possible and whatnot. I
want to just throw this out there. This is going to be my last thing, and this is going to be anyone who makes it this far in the podcast. This is going to be fantastic. So in the 80s, Oldsmobile came out with an engine called the Quad 4. Do you guys remember that at all?
No.
And it was a quad dual overhead cam 4-valve 4-cylinder. But they wanted to prove the effectiveness of the 4-cylinder, so they put a big turbo on it. And then they built like a really long aerodynamic body for it, and it did like 300 miles an hour. And so that was like their marketing thing. They never ended up really building anything very compelling, but Toyota has a hatch with a really, really low drag coefficient that if you put this drivetrain in would be nuts, and it's the Prius. If you put this drivetrain in the Prius, it would probably have a top speed of like 190 miles an hour.
See, Toyota? See, Mr. Toyotas. This is the Tuner Nation at work. Already thinking about swaps.
You're welcome.
But That's what builds the brand, Toyota. That's what builds the Honda Nation is the Honda Nation because they have motors that you can swap and you can do fun things. And next thing you know, people are buying up old Toyotas, sticking this new 3-cylinder in it, which fascinates me. I want to hear the thing. I want to see, like I'm all
Time
about
out. Tim, how bored were you to actually look up the drag coefficient on that car?
When they announced this, here's what triggered me. Is when I was reading this, there was speculation on what hatch it could go in. So I went on Toyota's current list or on their website just to see what all cars they had, and the Prius was one of the hatches. And then so that got me thinking, like, what is the drag coefficient? Because I knew the older ones, and it's like the lowest drag coefficient of any car currently made. Like I mean, and it's got underbody aero and the whole. This is getting a little enthusiastic on Prius, but if you took that whole package and threw this engine and stuff in there, I mean, you got to think that car has 100 horsepower. Yeah. And it manages to be not the worst thing. Well, it's the worst thing, but it manages to not be, it's still can't accelerate. You literally triple the horsepower in the car and give it all-wheel drive. I don't even know.
I like where your head's at.
I'm just saying. There's no way anything that they have that's a hatch with this drivetrain is going to be awesome. I guess that's my point. I don't know what my point is.
And on that note, go find you a cheap Prius and wait. And while you're at it, hey, guys, we make a real magazine. It's printed on paper. We ship it out to you. It's old school and proven, just like little hot hatches are. Yeah, there's one of them. So right now, if you subscribe, you get a free T-shirt. And it's a pretty nice one, too. It's not like a $2 tee or anything like that. So if you want to support the mag, we would love that. Just go to s3mag.com, and there'll be a thing to subscribe. And, all right. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Start saving your pennies for a Corolla. Make sure it says GR.
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 Later, fellas.
See ya.